give the Centerpiece Choir some love. It took them a moment, but it was well worth the wait. Yes. Kumar and the choir. Yes. Let's take a moment right now to engage in a little bit of love with each other and one to another. Please get up, tell somebody hi, give them a hug, look them in the eyes, let them know that they matter. All right. If you could find your seat. Yeah. So we've been talking about change all year, and this month our theme is embrace change. So we've been talking about that this month. And the principles we'll be working with today, principle number 1, we believe in God, the living spirit, almighty one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existence cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. We believe in the individualization of the Spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one Spirit. So, some of you might know, and some of you might not know, that I love sports, and particularly basketball. And one of the things that I love about sports and that I particularly love about basketball is the names of the great players. The nicknames, you know, like the Doctor, right? Iceman, I'm taking you way back, right? Microwave, okay, nobody, okay, I don't see anybody, okay. King James, okay, all right. Or Magic, Showtime, right? Y'all with me? I'm talking about the names, the truth, the answer, all right? Okay, I'm gonna try this one more time here. The names of the greats, you know who they are. The truth, the answer, Showtime, Magic, some great names. I was thinking that the divinity within, that each of us should give our divinity within a name. But you gotta be bold and you gotta be audacious, right? You can't have no little pickly name, right? The truth, right? So I was thinking about my name. If I was gonna come up with a name, I think it would be kind of, it would be a crow mixed with an owl. So my name would be Divine Crow. You see? You with me? You know, bold and bodacious. You got to give it a name. It's divinity within. So our vision is that our vision, a loving and peaceful world where all of humanity is honored as the divinity within is experienced. Last week, I talked a little bit about humanity and honoring humanity and our own humanity. And today, I want to talk a little bit about experiencing the divinity within. And the key word there is experienced. Where the divinity within is experienced. That means that it's something that you and I partake in, something that you and I are involved in. So it's not something to get or to have, but it's something to experience. The divinity within. So Ernest Holmes in 365 wrote something about tearing down walls. And we've been talking about tearing down walls for the last 2 weeks. And Bayless asked me if I had read the August 5th reading in 365, Science of Mind. And here's what it says. The title of it is, I Exercise My God-Given Dominion. There is a God power at the center of your being, a presence that knows neither lack nor limitation, fear nor sickness, dispute nor imperfection. Disquiet nor imperfection. But because you are an individual, it is possible for you to build a wall of negative thought between yourself and this perfection. The wall that keeps you from the greater good is built of mental blocks cemented together by fear and unbelief mixed in the mortar of negative experience. That sounds like a wall that might not come down. Now, you are to tear down this wall, to completely destroy it. The view that this wall obstructed is now seen in all its grandeur. The sun never really stops shining, and the river of life forever flows. The experience of all people is an attempt to merge into, let me start that over. The experience of all people is an attempt to merge into their own being with this eternal river, not to the loss of their identity, but to the discovery of that self that has never wholly left its heaven. Say, I know that there is a presence and perfect law irresistibly drawn into my experience, everything that makes life happy and worthwhile. The good I receive is but the completion of a circle, the fulfillment of my desire for all. I have placed my reliance in the power, the presence, and the perfection of God. Therefore, I have dominion over all apparent evil. I repudiate all its claims, cast out every fear of or belief in that which is not good, and I exercise dominion that by divine right belongs to me. So exactly then, what do we mean when we say that the divinity within is experienced? You want to know what it means. And so Emma Curtis Hopkins, who's one of the prominent founders of New Thought religion, they call her the teacher of teachers. Ernest Holmes studied under Emma and several others. But she says that there is a good for me and I ought to have it. There is good for me and I ought to have it. And when you experience this good, then, that you ought to have, the good that you are, the love that you are, the joy that you are, or when you experience health and you experience wholeness, or when you experience meaningful and rich relationships, or when you experience fulfillment in your workplace, this is all an experience of the divinity within you. And if you don't know that it is the experience of the divinity within you, you'll call it something else. But that is experiencing the divinity within. And so last 2 weeks, we've discussed embracing change. We said that embracing change, in fact, is tearing down the walls that we've built around ourselves in order to protect ourselves. But the problem with that is that once you tear down one wall, most build up another wall. That once you tear down one wall, you build up another wall. And sometimes we haven't even gotten rid of the debris from the first wall that we tore down before we start building another wall. So we use the debris from the wall that we tore down to build a new wall. So in this teaching, what we say then is that this wall that I'm talking about is our thoughts. The wall that I'm talking about is our thoughts, because we believe that thoughts are things. We believe that, that thoughts are things. And so our walls are an accumulation of our thoughts about ourselves and the world we live in. Our walls are an accumulation of our thoughts about ourselves and the world we live in. And I'm not talking about the big world that we live in, I'm talking about the small world that we live in. So, if our walls then are accumulation of our thoughts then at some point in time, this becomes our reality. Our walls, in essence, becomes our reality. And not only does it become our reality, it becomes a law unto itself. But the good news is that walls are made to be broken, not laws. I think that one is real good, and I don't want you to miss it. So I need you to turn to the person sitting next to you. I don't want you to miss this one. And tell your neighbor that walls were made to be broken. Walls were made to be broken. Not laws. Not laws. Tell the other person sitting on your other side, walls were made to be broken, not laws. Okay? Laws are made to be broken. So then what if what you think is real is not real? And I'm not saying here that what happened didn't happen. What I'm asking you to consider is that the way you think about it. What if there's another way to think about what you're thinking about? Ernest Holmes says on page 418 in the Science of Mind textbook, he says that ignorance stays with us until the day of enlightenment, until our vision toward the Spirit broadens and casts out the image of a no longer useful littleness. What we now experience, we may cease experiencing if we have the will and the imagination to set our vision in an opposite direction and hold it there. It is the office of the imagination to set the vision. The will should hold it in place until the creative genius of the inner life transforms the image of limitation and transmutes it into liberty under law. He says, with right glance and right speech, man superintendeth the animate and the inanimate. Rightly said the ancient whose knowledge of unseen principle gave him power over his objective world. But this is more than a saying. It is a truth and should become a part of our everyday practice. That is, we should daily practice correct thinking. We should decide what we wish to have happen in our lives. We should be sure that it implies no hurt for anyone, and then we should be certain that we now have this desire, whatever it may be. He says that it transmutes into liberty under law. In other words, it transmutes into the good that you desire. It transmutes into the good that you desire. This divinity within seems to want to challenge our limiting beliefs. The divinity within you and the divinity within me seeks to challenge our limiting beliefs. Don't lose that thought. And most of the time, instead of noticing it, we spend a lot of time looking for something outside of ourselves to uphold our littleness. Instead of being aware of the divinity within us,